It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right now on the 10 o'clock news.
We're following major developments in two big stories tonight, starting with the suspect in custody in the brazen murder of a CEO.
That man was asked to remove his face mask, and officers immediately recognized him as a suspect in the New York City shooting.
He's now in a Pennsylvania jail. How police zeroed in on him, and what's next for Luigi Mangione.
And Daniel Penny acquitted on the charge of criminally negligent homicide in the subway chokehold death of Jordan Neely. But we begin tonight with the identification and arrest of the CEO murder suspect. Good evening. I'm Natasha Verma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. That suspect, Luigi Mangione, being held in Pennsylvania in a jail without bail tonight. And this just into our newsroom. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections releasing this new photo of Mangione in custody. The big break in the case happening some 300 miles away from the Midtown Manhattan murder scene in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
That's where police say the suspect was recognized at a local McDonald's. When police got there, they say Mangione started shaking when they asked him if he'd been in New York recently. The 26-year-old facing 5 charges, including carrying a firearm without a license and forgery. Fox News' Arthur Sheehan is here with the very latest developments. Arthur.
Steve, Natasha, in addition to the forgery, weapons, and other charges, he is in Pennsylvania right now awaiting extradition to New York. This as details are emerging tonight on how this all unfolded today. But after 6 days, police say they have their suspect.
This is our first look at who officials believe was the gunman behind the brazen Manhattan killing of the United Healthcare CEO, identifying the man as 26-year-old Luigi Mangione from Maryland. For 6 days, investigators had been trying to get a name on him, and before they released the name, a customer at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania recognized him, and a call went out to 911.
Pennsylvania resident saw something early this morning at McDonald's and said something to our local police. And our local police here in Altoona acted swiftly.
Court documents state when police arrived, Mangione was masked, sitting in the rear on his laptop. They then asked him to remove his mask.
The officer quickly recognized the male as the suspect from the shooting. And within several minutes, seconds of the first contact, he had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently. And that really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. He became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question.
Under arrest, they then went through his belongings, finding a gun resembling the one used to kill Brian Thompson on a sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan last week, described as a 3D printed ghost gun. And the fake ID, New York officials say, matched the one that was used to check into a hostel before the killing. Nearly $10,000 in cash was also found, along with writings linking Mangione to the ambush shooting, hinting at anger he holds with corporate America.
In a civil society, we are all less safe when ideologues engage in vigilante justice. In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero.
Now, there's a lot we're learning about the suspect tonight. Mangione comes from a prominent family, valedictorian in high school. He went on to the University of Pennsylvania. Our Linda Schmidt confirming for us that he got his bachelor's and his master's in science. Now, what he studied is coming up at 10:30. That's when we're also going to hear from the officers who actually arrested him at that McDonald's. Natasha.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable. All right, Arthur, thank you so much. And United Health Group has commented on today's arrest, writing in a statement, quote, "Our hope is that today's apprehension brings some relief to Brian's family, friends, colleagues, and the many others affected by the unspeakable tragedy. We thank law enforcement and will continue to work with them on this investigation. We ask that everyone respect the family's privacy as they mourn."
The fact that a photo was snapped of the suspect smiling without his mask being credited with leading to today's arrest. Coming up at 10:30, we're going to take a look at the renewed push for a mask ban here in the city. And for the latest updates on this case and what's next in the extradition process, you can scan the QR code on your screen to download the free Fox Local app, where you can get updates anytime. Well, now to the other big story of the night. Daniel Penny acquitted of criminally negligent homicide in the subway chokehold death of Jordan Neely.
The verdict comes after the top charge, manslaughter, was dismissed on Friday. We have live Fox 5 team coverage tonight. Kendall Green has reaction from New Yorkers to the verdict. But let's start with Linda Schmidt with more on today's acquittal and what went down in court today. Linda?
Well, first of all, good evening to both of you. And this was a case that was about subway safety, mental illness, and homelessness. And for some, it was also a case about race. But in the end, a jury concluded that Daniel Penny did not cause the death of Jordan Neely.
The system is rigged.
The father of Jordan Neely reacting to the jury's verdict that Daniel Penny did not kill his son after putting him in a chokehold on the subway.
My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts.
Penny, who is 26 years old, intervened after Neely burst onto the subway behaving erratically and threatening riders in May of 2023. Some witnesses testifying they were terrified. Neely was homeless, had schizophrenia, and battled drug use and was high on the synthetic drug K2. Penny showing emotion in the courtroom for the first time since the trial began about a month ago. He briefly smiled as his lawyers embraced him after the not guilty verdict, the courtroom erupting in applause. Neely's father turning to someone behind him, cursing in anger, saying, "Are you clapping when my son got bleeping killed?" A handful of protesters turning violent outside the courthouse with one person arrested. Last Friday, the judge dismissed the manslaughter charge after the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict. Today, they acquitted Penny on the second count of criminally negligent homicide. Penny celebrating with his lawyers at a nearby pub, but not speaking publicly yet.
With the weight of this indictment on him, knowing that he's been falsely accused for doing the right thing and trying to protect people.
Yeah. Daniel, can you tell me how you're feeling about this right now?
You going this way?
Can you tell me how you're feeling?
He's feeling great, guys, and it's just a great day.
District Attorney Alvin Bragg issuing this statement, saying in part, "We followed the facts and the evidence from beginning to end. The jury has now spoken. At the Manhattan DA's office, we deeply respect the jury process and we respect their verdict."
And things are not over, though, for Daniel Penny. He now faces a civil lawsuit. Jordan Neely's father filed that lawsuit last week. Steve and Natasha, over to you.
Linda, thank you so much. And reaction to that verdict is coming in fast and furious tonight.
All right, with Penny supporters praising the jury and Neely's family and his supporters outraged, Kendall Green picks up our team coverage with that part of the story live tonight in Union Square. Kendall.
Hi, good evening, Steve and Natasha. There was a sense of relief that Penny won't face charges in this trial. But on the other hand, there's a sense of concern that this verdict sends us down a slippery slope. But it's evident just how many people have been dialed in on this case.
I think that these are important cases. People really pay attention.
Hours after a jury found former Marine veteran Daniel Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide after using a deadly chokehold on Jordan Neely last year, the case has gone under a microscope in the court of public opinion. Do you think that was the right call?
No, I don't. That's crazy.
Before Penny was cleared of criminally negligent homicide in Neely's death, a judge dismissed the more serious manslaughter charge because the jury deadlocked on the count. That same deadlock appears to have transcended those courtroom walls.
It's correct public message against the crime on the subway, against lawlessness.
He did not behave reasonably and went too far.
For some, they tell Fox 5 Penny's title as an ex-Marine gave him a higher degree of responsibility to be aware that Neely at some point was unconscious during that chokehold.
He didn't need to use that much force to the point where he was killed.
For others, that title as a Marine reflected his duty to defend those in harm's way.
People shouldn't just stand idly or look the other way when something like that happened.
The term that comes to mind is vigilantism. It's not the role of a common citizen to take someone's life.
Violence in the face of privilege is even harder to see and bear witness to.
As a degree of empathy for both commuters and those battling mental health issues ultimately blur the lines on where New Yorkers stand on the case.
It's left me conflicted because I do think it's important for people to stand up if they feel unsafe while on the subway. However, it should not be a death sentence to be mentally unwell and riding the subway.
Now, one person put it well that this case highlighted the importance of maintaining the significance of public safety on public trains and at the same time maintaining public health. That's the latest from Union Square. Kendall Grain, Fox 5 News.
Yeah, a good sampling of public reaction for sure. All right, thanks, Kendall. And we're just getting started on this very busy news night.
Straight ahead, Jay-Z firing back in the wake of a shocking rape allegation made against him, calling it an extortion ploy.
And porch pirates costing the tri-state hundreds of millions of dollars each year. What you can do to keep from becoming the next victim, and Nick's tracking the next bit of rain. Nick.
Yeah, it will be coming our way. Not so much tonight, because you can see here on the latest satellite radar, that's all kind of moved along. But when the rain does come back, at some point it's going to be heavy at times. I'll tell you about that when the 10 o'clock news returns.